Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Loch Briar Knits, episode 111. Yes. I'm Kelly, your hostess, and this is Loch Briar Knits, a knitting podcast, and it is another stormy Saturday here in Nova Scotia, Canada, because that's what we do on Saturdays. We have storms. All of my where to find me links are in the description box down below. I will try to remember to also list everything that I talk about today. If I miss anything, just shoot me a message over in the comments. So first off, I have selected a winner from the draw that we're doing for the over 1,000 subscriber giveaway that I mentioned back in episode 110. And I will announce that at the end, so stick around and I'll show you the prize. The prize is the book, Knit Yourself Calm, and that's by Lynn Rowe and Betson Corkhill. I was told I don't look at the camera, so it doesn't look like I'm looking you in the eye, so I'm going to try to fix that if I can. The problem is that I podcast on my phone, so it's a smaller screen, and the camera, it's not really obvious where the camera is unless you're like thinking about it. It's this tiny itsy little green dot that you can barely see. So if I'm not looking you in the eye, I apologize. I will do better, possibly. I don't know. Anyway, this is part of the giveaway. The next is 2 skeins of Loch Briar Knits yarn. One so that you can start your Christmas knits early next year. So this is my Christmas colorway Christmas bark. And this is September Morn. So I'll have the labels and the tags. I just left them off here for this because I thought it would be easier to show you the colorways. So those 2 will be coming at you. And I love these. These were hard not to keep for myself. Not gonna lie. These are little yarn ball stitch markers from Hiya. Are they not adorable? I had these like nicely wrapped. Now I'm gonna have to, actually I didn't have them nicely wrapped. Acme Fibers had them nicely wrapped. So there you have it. That's the prize to be won. So we'll announce the winner at the end of the podcast. Let's jump right into it because people, look what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the classic sweater by Espace Tricot, and I'm gonna stand up and push back. Here it is in all its glory. It's got the split hem, and the back hem is a little longer. It's nice and roomy. I probably even could have gone down a size if I wanted it a little more fitted, but I love how roomy it is. And then I did the neck longer. I think they had it probably was like maybe this long, but I have an issue when they're not long enough that the collars roll, and I hate the look of a rolled collar. So I knit mine longer, and I feel like I'm further away now. There, that's where I was. I actually have a little yoga block for a footstool here. I'm telling you, this is a high-end operation. So I did mine a little longer, and my plan was to fold it down, which I could if I so choose. But honestly, I love how cozy it feels with it like right up on the neck. I made the cuffs, I made the sleeves a little less straight. I did some decreases along here and then like kind of right here just to bring it in a little, because I didn't want the arms to be too wide, because I thought if they were too wide, I don't think it would feel as cozy for me. So I brought them down. I think I did the size 2, and then I made the sleeves the size 1 width. And then when I got down here, I decreased until I had only 50 stitches, I think, on the thing. I haven't done up my Ravelry page yet, but I will try to get that done sometime in the next week or 2. It's the best I can do. What I did was I used MYak yarn, and it was, I could not figure out the colorway because it's in German and there were sort of random numbers all over the place, but it was almost like a muted teal blue color, and then I used the blue Fescue colorway by Good Fibrations in their Mohair, and this is so incredibly soft. So I'm definitely making another one of these, and I'm going to make it out of, and I was going to use this for another sweater, but I think it's just going to make a brilliant classic sweater. So that's that. I'm all about the Mohair lately, which is funny. I was really slow to get on the Mohair train. Really slow. Like, the train left the station a year before, maybe 2, before I got up to it. So that is my finished object. I have 2 new cast-ons, 1 plan, and then I've decided what I'm going to do as far as learning color work, because I have acquired some yarn to do a colorwork sweater. I actually need to learn how to do color work first. The first thing is, because this is off the needles, I need another sweater on my needles. And I had planned on doing the Yeti sweater, which I put on hold, which I think I'm going to take off hold, but I haven't quite decided yet. I'm like about 75% sure I'm going to take it off hold, and I am going to do it in the yarn I had planned, which is the Quince & Co. Osprey in their root color. I think this is it. All of these bags, by the way, are from my local yarn store, The Loop. Her mom makes the bags for the shop. My first thought was that the brown is going to kind of mute, might be too dark and it might mute the cable pattern. But then I was kind of looking at it and I was like, it's not super, super dark. And it's really the only bulky yarn I have, because I don't normally knit with bulky yarn, and the pattern is for bulky yarn. And I bought this specifically for it, and I love the color. I love the color. I really do want to use it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it. If I get down to the first cable and then I'm like, I don't think that's working for me, then I'll change up. And I think I am going to cast this one on and have it kind of going simultaneously with my other new cast on. It was going to be the sweater hug. I just could not. I'm reading the instructions thinking, I have no idea what you're asking me to do here. And I just didn't have the brain space, and I wanted to cast something on right away. So I grabbed the Andrea Mowry DRK Everyday Sweater, because I just wanted like a classic kind of raglan tuck down kind of style. And I absolutely love her patterns. I cast that on. So here's the thing. I had planned on using this. It's Elite Yarns. It's their Telluride. It is a sport weight, but it's closer to a fingering weight side of the sport weight as opposed to like the DK side of a sport weight, if that makes sense. And I could not get gauge. Then I had to go stash diving. And what I ended up getting gauge with was, this is Jody Long Alba, and the colorway is Marmalade, color 015 Marmalade. So this is a merino and alpaca luxury tweed blend. So it's 50% wool and 25% alpaca and 25 viscose. Here's a funny story. I'm knitting this up, and there's like, and I don't know if you can see these. Can you see like there's kind of all these fibers kicking up? I was like, oh my God, where's all this? How's all this dog hair getting? For any of you who don't know, I have a golden retriever. And if any of you aren't familiar with the breed, they shed like a son of a bitch. It's just insane. The thing is that, now I'm not gonna lie, there are now some of these fibers that are golden retriever hair, but it's literally like all through it. It's like all through it. And I'm going in, I'm like, why are they so short? Because most of Scout's hair is like longer. And so I'm going along and I'm like picking things out, and I'm picking them out and I'm like, how is it? It's literally like it's all through it. And so what I ended up doing was, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to look at one of the other balls, because the thing is that my yarn is kept away from the dog, in a room that the dog doesn't go into for the most part. And I keep them kind of like in bins like this, or they're up high. But the amount of hair that I was pulling out of here was basically enough that she would have had to have unwound the ball, rolled all in it, balled it back up, and then perfectly put the tag back on and walked away. So I pulled out a new one, but then I thought, okay, I'm going to dig down to an area the dog would never be able to go to. And they're in there too. So then I realized it was actually part of the yarn. Wasn't the dog's fault at all. And so I'm assuming it's probably the alpaca portion of the yarn. I am done the yoke. I literally have 3 rows left to do, and then I think it's time to split for the arms. But this went really fast, and her patterns are so well written. Then I'm separating for the sleeves and the body, and then we're on Body Island. I think this is actually going to be done pretty quickly. And so I was originally thinking I was going to put the Yeti on the needles at the same time, and I may still do this, but there's it is really bad outside. Oh my God. I did this probably in a week, and that's while I was working on something else. So this is the neck. It's like a nice, so at least I'm not going to have any trouble getting that over my head. But I think it's probably going to sit probably, I would say, like around like this area. So it's not going to be like right up. And I debated doing it longer, but then I opted not to because I thought I'm just going to follow the pattern. And I do like that length. It's a nice length. That is what has taken up a lot of my time this week. That, and I do like this yarn. It's got a different feel to it. I almost thought it might have had a linen content to it. It had been a while since I bought it, so I was surprised not to find linen in there, oddly enough. But anyway, it's wool, alpaca, and I do have this in, I think it might have been kind of a mid-spring green color maybe. I'm probably going to do at least the 3 rows today. So the other thing I cast on was my half and half wrap. If you watch my vlog, you knew I was struggling as to trying to determine which color I wanted to cast on first. And I decided to go with the Stillwater blue because here was my thought. Stillwater blue is kind of I love the color, don't get me wrong, but it's not as bright, obviously, as the green. So the green, I think, is going to be visually more fun to knit with, especially where you're just going like back and forth. But the other thing I thought was, if the green is going to be more fun to knit with, if any of you have done the half and half wrap, you know by the time you get to the second half where you're increasing every row instead of decreasing like you are right now for the first half, then it starts kind of on the second half, usually after the first ball, to get to feel like it's a bit of a slog. And not that it's not an enjoyable knit, because it's so easy. It's like the perfect, like, mindless knit. But I thought if it's going to feel on the second half like it's a bit of a slog, it's going to be more suited to having kind of the fun, bright color on that end. I've done as many of the short rows so far, like that many, or I don't know, short rowed. Technical terms. One thing I'm doing, and I don't know if I'm doing it very well because to me that still looks a bit like a sloppy edge, but I've been slipping the first stitch with the purl or with the yarn in front and then bringing it to the back and starting to knit just to supposedly give it a cleaner edge, but honestly I don't really think it is. I think it's kind of messy looking. Anyway, that's not that big a deal. So that's on the needles, and that's with I'm using the Pearl Soho linen quill, and then this is the Stillwater blue, and this is the Fresh Pickle. And I love these 2 colors together. I think it's going to be fantastic. And it's just like a good, if I find if I have a short amount of time, I don't necessarily want to pull the sweater out if I'm doing like increasing rows or short rows or any kind of shaping. Fine if it's just like body or sleeve island, that's great. But if I have like 15-20 minutes and I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to get into something on the sweater, and then have to remember where I am later, you know, and mess up, that this is the perfect project to pick up. It's sort of like a large sock. I mean, obviously not sock shaped, but you know, it's like you can pick up a sock anywhere unless you're in the heel flap gusset maybe, and you're good to go. And this is kind of the same thing. It's just straight back and forth doing like the short row thing at the end. So that has been on the needles, and that's it. You know what? I don't know what it is. It's not that my smock, why do I keep calling it that? My sock mojo hasn't crept out on me. I want to be knitting socks. I think I don't know. Part of the issue may be the fact that these are my highest sharps. The thing I love about my Chagoos is that the red lace has no memory. So it doesn't do this. And I find when I'm doing magic loop, like if this were a larger project, I'm trying to get these up to if this was a shawl, then it wouldn't really be an issue because the weight of the shawl would like be in the needles and it would be keeping it in place. But where you're doing magic loop and it's constantly like that, it's really aggravating. And my other size 0 ones are on my other pair of socks, that I'm doing out of my Christmas bark. I've done maybe like about that much of those. I think what I might do, I have ordered another pair of size 0, and I'm going to, I think once that comes in, which isn't going to be until I think the first week of February, then I'm going to transfer these over onto the size 1 and finish knitting them. I could do it on the interchangeables, but I prefer my socks to be knit on, what do you call them if they're not interchangeables? Regular needles? I don't know. I have no idea. I will check just in case I do have another pair that I can use for magic loop. But if not, I think I may just hold off knitting on those until the new pair come in. Now, future knitting. I have an idea. I was going to do the sweater hug. So this is Erica Knight British Blue 100% pure British blue-faced Leicester, and this is, I think, DK or sport weight, 240 yards per 100 grams. I'd say this is probably DK, and this is the shade Cloak. So it's this really nice navy blue. It's actually darker than what that's showing there. That's kind of closer. My thought was, I love this color, but I didn't know if you're really going to see the fabric of the sweater in it. And I just wanted to lighten it up a bit. But I didn't want to use like white or light gray mohair because then I thought it would be a little too close to this. And I did want to retain as much of the blue as possible. So I'm going to mix it with this, which is the dark gray from Knit Picks Aloft. It's their mohair base. It's carbon. I think that this paired with this will mute this just enough that it will make a lovely color. I think that'll make a worsted weight. And if that's the case, then I may make I think it's the Shelter Cove by Marie Green is worsted weight. I've got 4 of these, so that'll be over 1,000 yards for that. So that's going to be more than enough. And then I have 5 of this, so that would be about the same. So that'll work. That is my plan. I'm not 100% sure on which pattern I'm going to use yet. So if you guys have any suggestions on nothing like too crazy difficult, because I am just not in that headspace right now. I'm not in a difficult sweater headspace because I am taking on something else that is going to require some thinking. So that's, again, is in one of my loop bags. So that will probably be the next sweater I cast on. Well, I'm going to cast on the Yeti and just see if that works the way I want it to. And then somewhere in there, that one will get cast on as well, I think. My husband bought me a gift card from Loop for my birthday, which is my local yarn store. I got Juniper Moon Farm Moonshine Fine. So this is their fingering weight. It's baby alpaca, organic silk, Highland wool and recycled nylon. This is in there, I think it was charcoal. It is like this lovely dark gray. I think it's charcoal is what it was called. So I got three skeins of these, which are, there's 437 yards, 400 meters. So that's more than enough for a sweater. But if you were here for the last episode, then you will know that I had bought some of the BC Garn Samilla Melange for the stripy sweater. And then I bought an extra one of these. And then I realized this would be perfect to use for a Colourwork sweater. And I was gonna mix it with the Samilla Pura from BC Garn, which is basically this yarn undyed, near as I can tell. So this is the cream color, and I was gonna use this as the main and then put any leftovers of these in it for the color work. But then I was looking at the other colors and I thought, you know what? This would look really nice. And then I still had enough left on my gift card to get this, which is like a plum. I don't know if I will use the moss green, which is this one here. I may end up just using those ones together. I bought one of these, another one of these, because I already had an extra one of these, and then I bought the purple as well. That's the plan for the sweater. But first I have to learn how to do color work. I'm going to teach myself color work, because I don't know if you can see it up here. This here is filled with scraps. I was gonna do the Spice Blend cowl, and then I thought, you know what, I was kind of looking at it and I thought that would be a really good idea, but I think I need to start a step down from that. So I got the pattern for the leftover city cowl, and basically all this is, and this is going to be perfect for teaching me how to hold the yarn in my hands for color work, is you can kind of see it's like solid, and then it's here's where the color work is, and then it's solid again, and then, you know, but it gives you all these pages where you can kind of color in to follow along and kind of color in, I guess, in the colors that you're doing. So I thought this would be a fantastic way to, number one, learn how to hold the yarn when you're doing color work, because I did watch a couple tutorials, so I sort of have a vague idea of what I'm supposed to do now. And then use up a bunch of scraps. And if you make a mistake, it's a cowl, it's not going to show up that much, really. I think it's a perfect scrappy project to practice. That's what I'm going to do, and I may cast that on this week just to kind of start picking away at it, because I really do want to learn, because I really do want to knit a Colourwork sweater. And I don't know which one yet. I did kind of, because I was on Andrea Mowry's shop on Ravelry, and I did like that. I really like that one. That's the throw over. So that's about it. What else is going on? We finished watching the morning show and Ted Lasso. Then we started watching season 2 of The Witcher, which is okay. I don't know if I'm loving it. I liked the first season, but I think because there was like about a 2-year gap between the first season and the second season, we're kind of forgetting a lot of the details. Like, they're talking about stuff and we're like, what was that again? And then we watched the third and last season of Afterlife with Ricky Gervais, which was really good. So right now, we usually like to have a 1-hour show and then a half-hour comedy show after it. After that, we have, I think we're on season 6 of the Superstore. It's the new season that was out. And yes, that's what we're watching. I'm still reading Kate Morton's The Lake House. It is really good, like really good. I'm like about that much left to go. This weekend, given it's storming, we're not obviously going anywhere, which is fine because I do have to finish dyeing up the last of my wholesale order for darn yarn. So I have 3 batches of yarn I have to dye up today and tomorrow, which is probably going to take most of my time. And that is about it. That's all that's going on. My husband and I both got our booster shots. We both got our ass kicked by it. Just for 24 hours though, and then we were fine. And it wasn't as bad as the second shot that we got. So before you go, I'm going to announce the winner of the giveaway. So the winner of the stitch markers that I have all folded up again, the Christmas bark and September Morn colorways from Loch Briar Knits yarn, and the book Knit Yourself Comic. Karen F, and I'm gonna like put your thing right up here. She said, I'm a new subscriber. I don't know how I missed your podcast until now. Well, that just means there are lots of past podcasts to binge if need be. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. My new cast-ons this year are the Tia Teva pullover by Carol Sunday and the Bike Beanie by Julie Stone. So Karen, I am going to leave my email address right here and down below so you can click on it and just send me your address and I will get your package out to you ASAP. So I will see you in a couple of weeks for episode 112. Until then, give me any ideas you have for some good colorwork sweater patterns that are kind of beginner level. If you have any, shoot it down there. Any advice you can give me on colorwork knitting, much appreciated. Or just tell me what you're up to, what you're knitting on, anything. I love reading the comments, and I try to respond to all of the comments that I get. I will see you guys in 2 weeks, and until then, happy knitting. Bye.